Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coach's Approach podcast, where we take an inside look at the coaching world. As always, I'm your host, George Gresco. As season 2 is winding down, please check out thecoachesapproach.com. You can find everything you need to know all in one place. Also, please follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and our YouTube channel. When I originally started this podcast, I wanted to hear about the amazing journeys of each coach that I have on the show. There's been some truly amazing coaches that have been on the show with some great stories that have been told. I'm excited to announce right now that we will have season 3 later on this fall and into the winter. So I am looking for coaches who would like to come on the show and tell their amazing stories. You can get a hold of me on our Twitter page at Coach's Approach or my personal Twitter at ggresco12. Today's episode, Pitzer'S Playbook, is brought to you by Coach's Dry Rub, the all-American rub. Lay it on thick until it sticks. Anthony's Family Restaurant in Eastlake on the corner of 91 and Vine Street, where together is our favorite place to be. Open for dine-in, carry-out, and curbside pickup. The Well Bar and Grill in Kirtland. Come on in for some great food and a great time. Last but not least, G&G Printing. Get your custom apparel printed in 7 to 10 days or less. Dominate your design. I also want to give a quick shout out to Dynamite Dogs. It's a hot dog shop in Mentor, Ohio. They have outstanding food. It's a fair food themed restaurant, so please check them out. Dynamite Dogs. Today in the coach's booth, we have the head football coach at New Richmond High School, Coach Brian Pitzer. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Love what you've done. Listen to a couple of your podcasts. You've had some really impressive guys on here. I think when I hit you up, the next couple were Hall of Famers, and I was like, oh, man, I'm not sure if I deserve to be on the podcast, but hey, we'll give it a shot and we'll get rock and rolling here.
Absolutely. And that's what's so cool about it. The coaching world, we like hearing everybody's story, not only just Hall of Fame. We like newer head coaches as like yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. Coach, you have coached at multiple schools as an assistant, and you've also been a head coach now at 2 different high schools. What challenges have you faced being a head football coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when everybody talks about challenges, I mean, I think I'm not a person that looks at when coaching is a challenge. I see issues and then we just go solve them. I don't really hang on anything. I was thinking about this, when you sent me the question or asked me the question, it's just like, I could sit here and talk about COVID, but we could all talk about COVID. That was a challenge. But I think the biggest challenges, that I've learned being a young head coach and being fortunate to be a young head coach is, you have to earn people's respect. I think that's a challenge. Sometimes you have guys that are way older than you, coaching with them, that have way more experience than you. And you also have to earn the respect of your kids. And everywhere that you go, it's going to be different the way that you do that. It was different at Norwood, the way that we earned, that I earned their respect versus here at New Richmond. So, every place is different. And I think, in terms of overall challenges, I think just rebuilding, programs. I love kind of running into that fire. Norwood was a little bit of a run into the fire type situation, is where New Richmond has got an amazing tradition of winning. And, they've won, they've had 46 winning seasons out of 67, so we're not rebuilding here. We're kind of reloading, and it's, this is a really, really good spot, and I'm fortunate to be here. So, I don't look at challenges very often. I find that a hard question for me to answer, because if I see a problem, I have to solve it. That's just kind of my personality. I'm not going to dwell on it and be like, oh, woe is me, so those are kind of the challenges that I've faced so far.
Absolutely. And talk about COVID real quick. What a crazy time to be a young coach. I was in my second year as a head coach at the time, and man, I'm glad it's slowly, slowing down a little bit.
Oh, I know. I'm with you.
Many great programs also are made of great coaching staffs. And you're a teacher as well. Sorry, I'm struggling here. I can't even read right now. But do you think being a coach in the building or working in the building, does that help build a football program?
Yeah, I think in my opinion, it's the most important thing. It's the most important thing to have yourself in the building so that you can see the kids every single day, be able to check grades, have access to that stuff. build relationships with them. But not only that, you see them outside of the weight room, you see them outside of the field. You see them, how they interact in PE. Well, I teach PE. So how do I see them interact in PE class? How do I see them interact in the hallway? Who's their girlfriends? Who are they dating? Who are they talking to? Because I love to know all that stuff, because all that stuff plays a factor, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
If game day walks around and every day, Billy and Susie pass me in the hallway and they're walking to first bell, and then on game day, Billy's walking by himself and Susie's 12 people behind and not wearing his jersey, I know that we probably got an issue. So I think it's a huge factor. And I think it's very important. And here at New Richmond, I've been fortunate. Next year we'll have 4 coaches in the building, which is huge. And that, we'll have our special teams coordinator, our defense coordinator, and our offensive line coach. So, those are 4 really, really important positions, including myself, to all be in the building. I think that's one of the most important factors into building a really, really strong high school football program is you have to have people in the building. You have to have those guys that can help you out and who can, somebody then can take some stuff off your plate. Somebody else has access to grades. Somebody else can go recruit the hallways and be the rah guy, so that, as a head coach, as you got to wear a lot of hats. So it's good if you have help, that's a good thing. My first head coaching job, I was fortunate to have one guy, but then in the second year, I didn't really have anybody. So it was tough. You're managing and you're balancing a lot. So
absolutely.
I think it's the most important thing.
And when I was a first-time head coach, I was the only one in the building, so it was tough, kind of keeping an eye on all these kids' grades and if they're showing up or not. It was tough.
Absolutely.
Speaking of building your program, is there anything that you do with your team to get their minds off the football side of things, like team building kind of stuff? Is there anything you do like that?
Yeah. So, with COVID, it was kind of hard at the first place that I was at, just because it was like, you can't gather in any large groups or anything like that. So I'm really fortunate and looking forward to it here that, we're going to do a couple different things throughout the summer with our kids. We're fortunate here in New Richmond. It's kind of got a nice little waterfront. So we've got some restaurants that have like Taco Tuesdays, and they've got beach volleyball outside. So we're going to take like the big guys down there a couple nights. And, we're going to do a parent player cookout here to start the summer with a practice attached to it, one of our camp days here in Ohio. So that'll be good too, just to see how our parents and players all interact with one another in a cookout setting and kind of away from everybody. And then we'll do a midnight practice July 31st, kind of leading into August 1st. So I'm excited for that first couple hours, just hanging out with the kids and learning more about them and being around them. Once again, anytime that we can take them and see them. And the other thing that I think's unique is I'll tell our position coaches to take our kids and, hey, take your position group and take them out to eat, go get them ice cream, or to bring them over to your house, let them play with your kids, see how they interact outside of football. Because that just can't be everything that we're all about all the time, or else, it's going to get monotonous and you're not going to see who a kid truly is, in my opinion, because everybody can give us coach talk. Yes, sir. No, sir. But, what do you like when you're around other people? What do you like when you're playing Madden? That's how I'm going to know how you are in a game on Friday night, in my opinion. So
absolutely. And I'll tell you what, those linemen, those linemen are going to love that Taco Tuesday night. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I think my checkbook will too, because it's only $1. So I'm looking forward
there
to
you
it.
go.
I heard $1 tacos. I said, man, we got to be all over that. We can afford that. So
too funny. Coach, also when building a football team and a program is building your coaching staff. When building your staff, what are the type of qualities that you look into when hiring?
Yeah. I think the first thing I look for is I want guys with no egos. I don't care about titles and all that and who's the coordinator of this and everybody's got to be able to coach everything. And we look for guys, and I'll set people up with questions in the interviews, and ask them, tell me about, your passing coaching, defensive backs. And if they say, well, my defensive backs or my defense or my this and my that, I cross them off the list because it's not it's ours. If I feel like coming over one day as a head coach and coaching DBs and I tell you to coach receivers, you better go. You know what I mean? It's just, that's how we kind of do things. And it's got to be an ours mentality. It can't just be, well, this is my group and I only deal with these guys. That's, in my opinion, that's not a way to build a non-ego type staff. So, we try to find younger guys, that don't have egos to coach a lot of stuff. And then we try to look for some age as well, with some experience to help us out in coordinating spots. So very fortunate here in New Richmond. We've hired a really, really, really good staff that's got a great mixture of guys that have been coaching for 15, 20 years and guys that have coaching for this is their first experience for the past 3 months. So it's been really good. But once again, that ego thing is something that we really, really go into. And if you have an ego and it's all about you and your defense and your offense and my running backs, you're not going to fit in here.
Absolutely. And one thing I always look forward to when I was hiring a staff, I always wanted that legendary guy that's been around the program for many years to tell like all the old stories, all the
Yes,
history type of things. Got to have that older guy on staff that's been there forever. And mine
100%.
was, I'll give him a shout out, Kevin Baggett. He's one of my very best friends. And he coached where I was at. He was there for 20 plus years and just a great, outstanding guy. But that was definitely a guy that I always, always have to have on staff.
Yeah, we have one of those as well. I'll give a shout out to him as well. Rick Mayhem. He's in the office right next to me. They got a defense meeting going on, and he's that guy, man. He runs the World War, the Veterans Affairs Museum. He's in 14 different things in New Richmond. It's awesome. So he's a great contact because those guys have the connections, and I think that's definitely something, because the past two spots I've been in, I've not been an alumni or from the area.
Yeah.
So my goal was I need to hire people from the area because I need to know the ends. I need to be able to say, hey, who's our good sponsors? Who's our donors? Who's people that we need to target and go after and get them a part of our program. So
who's going to write that $5,000 check?
I don't know about that one, but yeah, something at $5. We'll take $5. I don't care.
Too funny. We all know that high school football is just high school in general is the peak in a young person's life. High school sports play a huge part also. Why would you say high school football is so important in a young man or woman's life?
I think high school football is just so important. And I was telling a kid this today who might be ineligible. I said, man, I said, life is going to give you, two avenues here. You can either hopefully you get your stuff done and you can go to this avenue and play football. And I think it's going to take you in a great path, or you don't play football and your fall is going to take you in a different path. And I think just football is a great team. I think all sports are great, not just football, basketball, baseball, whatever you want to be involved in. But, I just think football, with how much time we put into it and how much development we put into it year round, and the way that it's kind of, forced us as coaches to be, that it can't be just all about football for 8 straight months, or that's going to be monotonous. It's a life program. We have to teach life, and we have to teach how to deal with adversity and how to deal with the schedule and be early, and all those qualities that show up later in life when you go to work. And I think football teaches you patience, because you're going to work out for 8 months, and you're just going to work out and run and lift and do all that stuff, and then you're finally going to get to August, and then you're going to work out for 2 more weeks, and then you're finally going to you're going to practice for a whole week, and then you're going to play. You know what I mean? And then you're only going to do that for 10 times guaranteed. And then you're going to see where the chips fall in the postseason. So I think you have to be patient, and we don't get to play like basketball or baseball. We don't get to, lose on Monday, play on Tuesday and win again. You got to kind of sleep on that for the next 5-6 days before you get to play again. So, like I said, I think your program has to be a life program. It can't be all about X's and O's. It can't be about wins and schemes and all that jazz. It's got to be about a culture and developing your kids. And we talk about our culture all the time about being elite academically, athletically, and socially in those 3 core areas every single day. And, that's what we want. We want our kids to strive in the classroom, show up and get developed athletically, and then be a great person. Okay. Develop yourself outside of the football program, serve and give your community, be a positive role model. So those are the things that I think our program give to New Richmond. And we look forward to building that as we continue forward.
Absolutely. And another coach that I coached with, I was at Kenston High School back in 2018, and a coach on that staff, his name was Bob Ross. And he said, football is the toughest sport in the world because you only get 1 game a week for 10 weeks, guaranteed. Right. It's not like football or not like basketball, soccer, where you're playing 2-3 games and you have a short-term memory and you turn around and win the next day. Right. So it's just one of those crazy things. So, but Coach, we all know that there are many different aspects to make a high school coach become successful. What would you say helps you or any high school coach to become a successful coach?
Yeah, I just think work and consistency. I think consistency is a big thing. If you want to be the best and you want to get to the top, you have to outwork people. I mean, that's plain and simple. And I learned that at my time at Anderson High School when we took a team. I was on a staff that we were 1-9, and then the next year we were 6-4 and made the playoffs. And that only, in my opinion, the only difference was that we worked way harder than we did the previous year. And we had a new head coach and some things changed, and we worked hard and we were very, very consistent. And I think that's what you have to be. I mean, for young coaches, today, you have to make sacrifices. You have to say, hey, hey guys, sorry, I know I'm 21 and you guys want to go out tonight, but I got to go to a team meeting, or I got to hop on a Zoom, or I got to meet with kids, or I got to do that, because that's what's going to get you to the top, is just consistent daily effort of changing your best. And every single day, you just have to continue to keep learning and growing. And I think for young coaches, me in particular, I was the same way. And I had kind of a shell shock. 25, when I was 25, I interviewed for like 3 jobs that I got nowhere with those 3 jobs. And then I finally kind of took a step back and go, okay, well, what am I missing? And I got to be more consistent. I got to work harder. I got to learn more. I have to get more experience in different ways. And, I just think you have to outwork people. And I think young guys nowadays, we all see the Lincoln Rileys and the Cliff Kingsburys and all these young head coaches at college that we're all like, why? I want to be a head coach by the time I'm 28. Well, that may not be the right path. You know what I mean? Some people, you got to take a different path to get to where you're going. So I just think work and consistency is huge for coaches that want to be really, really successful, and you got to sacrifice a lot. So.
Absolutely. And Coach, earlier in the show, you mentioned about athletes playing more than one sport.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't a question I was going to ask you, but how does your school combine like playing multiple sports? Are you guys very good? Or you coaches work kind of together?
Yeah, well, I've only been here since March, but from what I can tell, we have a ton of multi-sport athletes. And, I think our kids, that's kind of how I judge a school, because during the off season, we'll shoot basketball and stuff with our kids when we're, rained out or something. We go to the gym and, we'll play basketball with them. And, we got a lot of kids here who can shoot really well. That tells me we're probably pretty athletic, because that's how I judge your athletic ability. Can you shoot a basketball? Can you hit a baseball? Can you hit a golf ball? And, we have a ton of kids who are very athletic, and we have a lot of kids who play 2 to 3 sports. And, I love that. I think that's a great thing. I think when you get to certain size high schools, playing 3 sports gets tough because it's so competitive. But to be honest with you, I was a 3-sport athlete, and I tell people this all the time. I don't, everybody's like, well, do you care about multi-sport athletes? I don't. You can be a multi-sport athlete. Here's what I care about. Are you working out as well with being a multi-sport athlete? Because if you're not constantly developing, I was the type of kid, I'm an only child, so I don't know if maybe I was just a loner all the time, but I'd get home from football practice, shoot some basketball, and then in the basketball, I get home from basketball practice, throw some football, or, work on some swings or something in the batting cage. I don't know. I was just constantly always doing something. And I think if you want to be good and you want to be the best at being a multi-sport athlete, then you got to do it all the time. You know what I mean? I don't think that when it's basketball season, you should just shoot basketballs and not ever catch a football if you're a receiver. I don't think when it's football season, you should just catch footballs and just play football and never go in on a Saturday morning and get some jump shots in. You know what I mean? I think anytime that you can do that stuff, I think that's to me, that's a multi-sport athlete. I think nowadays we get too locked into everybody's got to play multi-sports because, well, all these, statistics about NFL athletes that get drafted and it's 92% were multi-sport athletes. Well, that's great, but they probably worked out in the morning, went to practice in the afternoon, and then did something in the evening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's how I determine a multi-sport athlete. So thanks for letting me get off on my soapbox there. Nobody's ever asked me that question.
Absolutely.
I've thought about that for a while, and it's just like, everybody tells me we got to make sure they're playing other sports, but that's fine. Then they better be catching footballs, and they better be shooting basketballs, and they better be hitting baseballs or running track or whatever they're doing all the time, not just for 33% of the year, in blocks. So
absolutely.
That's my thoughts.
And one of the coaches I coached with, he said there was 2 points why he loved multi-sport athletes. He goes, one, the athlete is using many different muscles playing each sport. So if you go from football to basketball, you're using different, running muscles, upper body, rebounding, you're just doing different kind of motions. And then from that to wrestling. And so that was one aspect. He said the other thing as a coach, he said, I always knew if they were in another sport that other coaches were also worrying about their grades. So I'm like, that was also something that I really picked up from, and I really liked. He's like, I always had eyes on my athletes, multi-sport ones. Right. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I agree.
Coach, we have hit the point in the show for rapid fire 7, which is I'm going to ask you 7 rapid fire random questions that I have not seen yet. I'm going to uncover the paper here in a second, and they could be just about anything. Just so you know, my dad helps me with these, so I love it. I don't see them. So, right. Coach, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Toilet paper, under or over?
Under.
How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant? I mean, I would say 100. I don't know. It's a great question.
M&Ms or Skittles?
Are they peanut M&Ms?
They could be any.
That's the question. Peanut M&Ms over Skittles. Chocolate M&Ms. I'm going Skittles. I'm probably going Skittles. I'll go Skittles.
All Who is your celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush. Oh God.
So your players are going to give you some crap for
Right.
this one.
Celebrity crush. I like Zoe Deschanel. New girl.
There you go. There you go. If you were a cartoon character, who would you be?
Cartoon character. Oh gosh, I'm not a big cartoon guy. Trying to think of the last cartoon I watched. Oh man, I was like a weird kid, man. I stopped watching cartoons in like 4th grade and started watching Sports Center. I'm just gonna go with the last like cartoon that I can think of. I loved Hey Arnold. So
there you go.
big
There
Hey
you
Arnold
go.
guy.
I grew up on Hey Arnold
Got a
too.
football shaped head, you know.
Too funny. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Neither. I'm not a big fiction guy.
I say
Star Wars.
I'm
Sure.
not either. And what is your favorite fast food restaurant?
Ooh,
That's a tough one.
You know, I kind of classify fast food as different. You know, I've kind of got like, you got your McDonald's. You know what? Shout out to the city of Cincinnati. We're going Skyline for the win.
Skyline Chili. I love it.
Skyline Chili.
Too funny. I always like that segment because I even start laughing before I start reading some of those questions. So it's that still got me laughing. One of the last week's question was, do you like lawn gnomes?
What? Lawn gnomes?
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had
I haven't
last
seen a lawn gnome since 1996, probably. So
so funny. But Coach, as we near the end of the show, I always ask this question to all the coaches that I have on. Who is Coach Pitzer for the listeners and viewers who might not know you? Who is Coach Brian Pitzer?
yeah, I mean, I'm a relationships type person. I love, that's why I teach. That's why I coach. I love kids, love building relationships. But first and foremost, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son. I'm a family man, love my family. So grateful for the opportunities that they gave me, my mom and dad. I'm an only child. They had me when they were very young, and they provided an amazing life for me. And I couldn't be more grateful to them. And then, you know, shout out to my wife, Ashley, who runs the house, and our 15-month-old as of on Thursday, son Trip. So just grateful for them. And I'm also grateful for just working in an amazing district and having the opportunity to lead young people every day. And, you know, hopefully I can make an impact on them over their 4-year period whether they're in my PE class. You know, I love being able to teach, you know, all walks of life in PE, because you get every type of kid. You get an athlete, you get a non-athlete, you get a band kid that has to take PE to pass, you know, you get everything. So I'm just fortunate to have the opportunity to make an impact on them. And that's me. I'm not overly complicated. I like to play some golf and like to hang out with friends and family. So I'm a big relationships and people person. So
absolutely. We'll have to get out on the golf course here sometime this
there
summer.
you go.
I got to fix my slice though. I got to fix the slice.
I can help you. So
Coach, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and spending some time. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Had a blast doing it. Thank you. Appreciate it. And, you know, look forward to many more podcasts that you guys put out. And by the way, shout out to you. Love Brett Favre. So
there you go.
I was a Packers fan. It's my favorite quarterback of all time. So shout out to number 4, Brett Favre, if he's listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'll mention this online after mentioning Brett Favre. I'll never forget the Minnesota game against the Saints where he threw the interception at the end of the game, crossed his body. I was in tears. I was like, Favre's going to go out a champion, winning the Super Bowl right off in the sunset. I mentioned that in a bunch of my shows already, but I was in tears. I'm like, oh.
So quick story. So he being my idol, and that happened in probably a year before I graduated college.
Yeah.
We're playing in our last game and we're getting destroyed. We're playing our rival. We're getting beat 77 to something. And I look at the coordinator at the time. I go, hey, do you want to pull me out? And he goes, well, it's your last game. I said, fine. And I said, I'm going out like Brett Favre. And I kid you not, I could picture it. I threw it to Zach Ottenreeb, who played for Thomas More. I threw it across my body, threw a pick, and went and tackled the kid on the sideline, walked off the field. And I said, you know what? At least I went out like Favre. So,
no, and you know, that's a story you'll get to tell your kids one day. It's
that's
awesome
right.
Stuff.
No doubt.
But Coach, once again, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Appreciate you too. Thank you for having me on. Be elite and go Lions.
Absolutely. Thank you to all of our listeners and viewers. Also, you guys have been awesome. Keep liking, sharing, retweeting, and subscribing. But that's going to do it for today's episode of the Coach's Approach podcast. As always, I'm your host, George Gresco, and we'll see you guys later.